director's job over a period of time, the majority of the cost would be like the first year with the town having a small base. And then that goes down over time, it goes up over time. And at the end of that period, whoever that funder may be is going to expect an agreement that that will continue, that you're not just going to drop it at the end of 5 years or 3 years or whatever the period is. And I think that's still a viable option to do that. Of course, that would be an agreement between the town and whatever funder we found to fund that sort of thing. And I just don't know what the appetite is that the town may have for that kind of arrangement. But it's certainly a possibility in the future, regardless of what happens to our current management structure. That's still a possibility.
I wanted to add one other thing too, is I think the concept would be ideally that after a period of time, this position is self-sustaining.
Yeah.
You know, there's not something that, you know, like Dick said, get off the ground with a foundation carrying the big part of the weight the first year and then transition to town, picking up a little bit more for some defined period of time. Hopefully, toward the end of that period of time, as the organization grew, and somebody was there accessing not only things that we could do, but things that towns eligible do that we can't do, grant-wise and so forth, that would be a self-sustaining position. Any questions for us?
In Roxborough, when you visited them, did you find a similar situation? Had they been through the same kind of process?
Lisa was there, and, you know, of course, everybody here was better than I do. But the way I heard it was that they had some startup problems. They had some initial, there was some opposition. Some people did not see the advantage of doing this at the beginning. But as they got into this a year or so down the road, people began to see that, hey, it's really contributing to the betterment of the community. And more people came on board and supported them. But like Alicia said, this has been going on 30 years now. And they had, you know, they have done a lot there. And they have renovated an old theater. They've got a lot of amenities in town that are nice. But things that are functional and things that people want. And I think it's important, again, to go back to the initial thing I said. What was in that road renewal plan was a result not of what Reimagine Chatham or Rotary Foundation. That plan was developed by public input. We had surveys, we had public meetings, and that's where that plan came from. It wasn't something that we could see through.
And I'll mention that in Roxborough, they had addressed some of the very same issues that we struggle with, which was second floor apartment renovations, facade improvements for businesses, derelict buildings and empty buildings. They, you know, had some success with those things by implementing this program.
It was notable though at that point, we had, you walked through that downtown, and so-called historic area, lots of that upstairs portions of that business is redevelopment to apartments, nice windows and blinds and so forth. And as a matter of fact, I think the mayor had lived in one of those for some years.
Well, one important aspect to this position also is, you know, we don't envision having a development director and he goes out and does all the work. You know, the way we have gone about this is through subcommittees. Like, for example, we had a trail committee, we had a branding committee, and everybody in town was invited to join those committees whenever they could and participate. We envision it going forward the same way. If we're awarded a grant going forward for the trail build out, we will again form the trail committee. That committee will work to implement that grant or whatever Same thing with the branding. We'll have a committee that consists of working people that have input on how that's implemented, how the town's advertised. Murals the same way. We'll address murals with a committee that not only identifies the themes that are to be used, but the locations and what the legal requirements are for those things to be put on buildings, et cetera. And what the mural is gonna look like in the end will be a committee work. So it's not gonna be, one person driving that whole thing. It has to be a community effort, and that's what we try to accomplish through these committees.
Channel First has already agreed, to take lead on the, Trails Committee and has agreed to establish a standing committee to work on that. So that's one of the things we're starting off, assuming we get the money to do that.
To give you a flavor, the overall estimate for completion of the complete trail system is about $1.25 million. So we're only going after a piece of it, the initial piece of it here to get it started. Then we'll bite off another bite next year, we'll bite off another bite next year.
And that'll be part of the director's job is to figure out, what's the next logical step and.
That's right.
And
Keep it organized.
So you've got 81 items on the list with 33 underway, and let's say you get 10 or 15 more, then it'll be identifying the next 10 or 15 and so forth and so on as you go forward.
Placing priority over through the steering committee. We've got a good steering committee and it consists of a lot of people in town, different organizations and people you don't necessarily meet every day.
And you'll intend to keep that in place.
Absolutely. We need to keep that in place. That's the overall collaboration umbrella.
Right.
So,
Say one other thing, this is just my impression. They've done a really good job at Foxborough. But we have the potential here to really do something great. We've got a beautiful plant. We have assets that they don't have. We've got more historical structures. We've got more architecturally diverse homes. This can be just a really neat place. If we just start working at it, and it's just like Dick said, a piece at a time, detail for one lot at a time. But just have a plan, have a way to make it happen, and just keep pushing. And these things over time build their own momentum. And so it gets easier as you go. Just get it off the ground, just get that ball rolling, things get easier as you go.
and we're only talking about one source of funding now, is one trust. We're not taking advantage of any of the other foundations in Danville, of which there are how many? 7, 10, 8? They manage over $500 million. That they give a large piece of that away every year for things to be done. So we need to be attacking every grant opportunity we can in the local area as well as state. And that's when I say that it takes somebody paying attention to it every day to identify those opportunities and get the ball rolling towards getting more funding. So that growth and renewal plan can be the foundation for a lot of things, a lot of funds. The different choices.
Did you have a question?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I've got a.
And I agree with what you said there, Tony. From the funding aspect for this position, you mentioned, that possibly funding 3 to 5 years, slides, I understand all that. And you mentioned, do we have numbers on paper yet, or are we just having some discussion? Like, you said majority, is that 75% of the salary, or is that 100% the first year, and then 75, and then 50? Do we have anything on paper yet?
You're not gonna get 100% the first year.
Well, I understand that, I'm just throwing out numbers.
You might get 50 to 75% or better.
I think, I'm not saying I think the town needs to put some.
Yeah, I understand.
Some money in,
But we
I
have
just
to-
pulled out numbers out there to see if there's any, do we have anything to look at from a perspective of a proposal for that? Of what, how we would fund that position for 3 to 5?
Yes. Yeah,
I think that's important information.
And we discussed some numbers back in the late spring, didn't we?
We've got a matrix of, over time, how much is contributed towards the cost of that position, over time by a funder, a primary funder.